Hey everybody, it's the Trout. Hope you're having a great day. You know, back in the 80s, one of my favorite songs by one of my favorite bands was recorded. It's called I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. Yeah, by that little known band U2. And they're out of Dublin, Ireland. They became a massive hit, and of course, unless you lived under a rock, you know pretty much a lot of their songs because they are played everywhere all the time, and they can still easily sell out any arena they want to play at anywhere in the world. But I was lucky enough to find three other Dublin young lads, and let me say, very talented young lads, that have started their musical career. They're called N.O.A.H. N-O-A-H. I love them. They call themselves an indie rock band. But you know, for three guys, they put out some great music when they perform. But why am I telling you about it? Here's a little snippet. So that was from the Hands Up video that they shot. You know, they have a lot to say, and I think they have a lot of people that need to hear them in the near future. And hopefully one day they'll make the trek across the ocean to come to America. I look forward to seeing them. I got to visit with them, and I think you'll love their story too. But before we get to the story of N.O.A.H, remember, if you like this channel, just check the box that's coming up. And remember also that this is on a podcast, and you can listen to it anywhere you want to. So here we go with three young, talented lads out of Dublin, Ireland. N.O.A.H, N.O.A.H. That's next on The Trout Show. You guys have known each other forever. Grew up together and all that stuff.
A little bit too long, if you ask.
Yeah, very long. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we have.
Did you all play the same instruments from the beginning? Or did you decide one day, I'm going to be the drummer and you be the guitar player or whatever, or you always kind of took up the instruments?
So the way it was myself and Adam, when we were in, I don't know what the equivalent, like, excuse my ignorance in regards to the education side of things, like we call our, I don't know whether it would be a high school or something like that.
Yeah. Go ahead. What do you call it over there?
We call it
primary
secondary
school.
We call it
okay.
School. And that's where the music side of it came in. And myself and Adam were like in our first year in secondary school, we were kind of in this makeshift band, and you know, like all aspiring bands that get a bit too ahead of themselves, the lead
singer
then decided to leave, and myself and Adam were kind of stuck in limbo.
Right.
And then in the second year, Ryan, our lead singer, was in my class in school, and you know, he had asked, did I want to join a band with him? And then obviously, you know, working with Adam before, it's like, we need a bass player, and I was like, well, I have the perfect one. And you know, it started from there, and you know, we've been kind of playing music together since the ages of kind of 15 or so.
Yeah.
And you're still talking to each other. That's what's cool.
Yeah. Rick, it's over Zoom, Rick. We can tell we're in two different houses.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm only joking.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Being in a band is a strange family relationship, you know. It's very, very much, there's nothing you can do about it, but you know, we're still together, and that's the main thing.
I think we're only getting better though in terms of our relationship as friends. And
somebody asked Billy Gibbons one time, you know, before Dusty Hill passed away, you know, the band been together for 50 years. And they said, how do you stay together that long? He goes, we're traveling 3 separate buses.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's That's how
But
you
there,
do it.
We're once again, we're not at that stage yet.
No,
We still
I mean,
No.
but
have
I'm
the
saying
same
he would.
fire.
Adam was
Yeah.
joking, but I understand completely what he said. I've been in more bands than I want to think about, and
Mm.
Yeah.
when you're in the band, and you guys already know this, there is a family atmosphere about it, but also there is inside stuff that people don't understand.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got inside jokes. You got stuff that you talk about nobody understands.
We even noticed that with like the team we work around, like as in your relationship sort of takes on different forms when you're around different people. Like if we're traveling in the car together as like just the three of us, we can act a certain way, say certain things, and um be more authentic to our actual friend group. And then all of a sudden you introduce, not, it doesn't even have to be like a musician to the band, but someone
Right.
who's helping out on sound, and you're like, okay, well the dynamic there is a little bit different now, so
Yeah.
everyone watches what they say a little bit more. They're a bit cautious of how people are viewing the band as a band, and it's more
Do you get like
professional
that?
down on yeah, like definitely, because I talk a lot of shit, like, so
Well, but you know what? Here's the thing. And I will tell you this from my personal life. You will get to a point, hopefully you'll get to a point where you just don't give a shit. This is
Yeah.
me. And I understand, I'm not going to drop F-bombs on people and stuff like I don't know. I mean, there's certain things you just don't want to do or you
Yeah.
shouldn't do. And, so I understand, but eventually you just get to the point, here I am, this is me.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, if you like me,
Absolutely.
fine. If you don't like me,
it's more like not letting the people in suits know that we're like three little giggling girls traveling to gigs. That's more like what it is.
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
that's
to be
that's funny. I
honest,
like that.
I think the dresses give that away.
Yeah.
To get out of the
No,
car.
but I swear though, like the jokes are just ridiculous. It's just like someone starts laughing and everyone else starts laughing, and it's not even funny. It's just
No, but
beyond
you
the
could
point.
say one word and the other two or three of you know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a great part about being in, like I just said, you've been in loads of bands, but for myself, I don't think I'd be able to be in another band. Like I really don't, because I feel like I've learned my instrument, and not even my instrument, but I learned how to be creative and make music in the context of the other two people in the group.
Mm.
And I don't think it'd be a different way about doing it, like if it did someone else. Yeah, I think like I've sort of learned how to play in context of the band.
Yeah.
And I think if I were put in a different situation, I don't know how I'd do. Like, so
It's something that, I think even over the years we've gotten, whether it be live or in interviews or even, just in studio aspect with, kind of engineers and producers, etc. One thing that people always say is, our chemistry comes through our music. And I think that not only because the amount of time we've been together has affected that. Like obviously, you could be in a band for 10 years and you can have such a great chemistry, etc. But I think what's really special about our chemistry is the fact that we have been together in almost pivotal moments of each other's lives growing up. And it's like, going from, being in school to now to hopefully 10 more years down the line, there's that chemistry that not everybody has. And that's, I think, what makes it special. And I think, as Adam said, if we're jamming in a room, you kind of, what way someone's going to go. And like, if we've got like a verse idea, and then all of a sudden one of us kicks into kind of a chorus sound, then you almost have this natural feeling of what you're going to do next. Whereas, even being in music college where I've played with other people, you don't have that same.
No, and I admire you guys for that, because I've never been in that situation. I mean, I've been in a lot of bands, and you kind of melt together and know what you're going to do. And I have a friend of mine I've known since high school, and he's a drummer. And unfortunately, I don't get to see him very much. He lives in Texas, but I don't get to see him. And he's not a musician. But when we see each other, if we perform, it's like we saw each other in high school. It's just, you kind of know
exactly
what's
where you
going
left off.
on. And so I admire you for guys for that, because when you go back, and not the reason I think if you go back to the Beatles era, that's why they wrote so much great songs together. I mean, look, they don't write much anymore, but Jagger and Richards, they obviously had some kind of chemistry there, or they couldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and even though we were talking about you two a while ago, I think most of the band probably works on that stuff together. You know, I don't know
Yeah.
if Bono and Edge are talking about it or whoever's, but you got to have that ability. And you guys are at that point now where you've already got that, and that's really cool. I mean, that's really cements the relationship. Let me go back to the very beginning. So let's just start with the same question that people already ask you. Why are you named after Noah, the guy in the Bible? What is the Noah? I'm just kidding. What is the Noah?
Yeah.
What's the acronym, or what's the initials for?
Well, like the initial story, like the idea is we wanted to be called Noah in general. So like it was from the idea of literally the parable of new beginnings, and it's like the great reset. And because for us, like we, as Ronan said, we've been a band since we've been kids, and I suppose there's nothing more fitting than Noah. I was like, that just makes a lot of sense for where we are in our lives at the moment. So I was like, okay, cool. We go with that. Now, like, to be a little bit different, like we sort of wanted to make it into an anagram of an old lyric called "Not Only a Hero." And it sort of sets us apart from other Noahs. Like Noah is a fairly Googleable name, and stuff like that. So there's a commercial
Marketing
element.
101, guys. Marketing 101, yeah.
Absolutely.
So like there is a huge element of like being able to be searchable. I mean, obviously you have to search with the intention with the dots as well. But like Noah is a popular name, so you need to have something else. And we didn't want to be called like Noah and the somethings, or Noah and the. We just wanted to keep it at Noah. So it was sort of the easiest way for us to do it, and we also got to tie it into something previous that we were beforehand. And that's pretty much it. Like it's not really it's definitely not from a point of being hyper like religious or anything. It was more just a case that the actual story resonated with us to the point of going, we feel so strongly about what we're doing in our life right now. I can't think of any other story that has as great a meaning to us as that does right now. And that's it.
Well,
really.
it's almost like you went in reverse. What you did was you named the name, and then you said, "Oh, we got to put initials after it or something," so people think it. You know,
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
that's exactly what happened. And that makes sense because then, but when I look it up, I didn't type the initials. I just put Noah the band.
That comes up too. So to be fair, is like as we grow in status, it's going to become a little bit more easier for people to find. And it's like Noah Ireland, and it will come up, or Noah Band Ireland, or Noah whatever.
Or even like if you search like the song title or whatever, and you don't even have to have the dots in. Like obviously, the internet is powerful enough as it is to kind of pop that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I read a little bit about you guys. Don't have a lot of stuff on your internet about your band. You need more information about who you are and all that stuff. That's just me telling you that. You don't have to listen to me, but and I couldn't find, because you're new. I understand that. And of course, the big thing was I read a couple of the articles that were in there, the press articles. But you kicked in more during the COVID thing, or right before that, or was it COVID going and you said, I can't go anywhere. You know, is that where it all kind of started? Where you guys kind of gelled up and said, let's start making records now, or what?
Unfortunately not. I think that would have made us sound a lot smarter than it actually was, because we did it just, what was it, 2 months before the lockdown kicked in, and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
decided
Like,
to rebrand, quit our jobs. This was like going to be full
mm,
time for us. You know, it was full steam ahead. We had all these ideas, and then all of a sudden lockdown came,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I see. Oh, I got you. Okay.
we
and
looked
at
like
that,
the biggest
yeah,
idiots for
like
for thinking that.
No, no,
like
no.
at that time, like our manager, the Christmas prior, like it was like the November, December time before the lockdown and everything came in and
Yeah, because that was
COVID.
March. That was March. Everything was January.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
so like we were sort of getting everything ready. Like we had our manager came on, and to be fair, he was the one who sort of prompted the idea of going, "Do you know what, let's give it a good go, and like, you know, maybe it might be an idea for you to change your name." And we're like, "Do you know what, maybe you're right." Like, and then we had all these plans for the summer, and we're like, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna get in the
Mhm.
studio this time.
Mhm.
And then it just, I think, like, do you know what's crazy? Even just came to my head there. I haven't thought about it in ages, but we were waiting nearly like 10 months to get into a studio, like,
Mm.
because like every time you went in or we're about to go in, it'd be like in Ireland, like the measures were strict enough.
Oh, yeah. You guys are worse
So
than America. Yeah, it's worse than America. Yeah. I mean, it was
yeah,
worse
so it was very
in the
much,
UK than it was in America. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
like it was a case of like we technically even shouldn't have been in the same room a lot of the time as each other. And so like every time we went to go, get getting pushed off and off and off. And then all
Yeah.
of a sudden the songs you wanted to record were like, you had three better ones then. And then it was like, we want to record them, but then you had more, be a better song. So it actually did give us a lot of time to um get better at songwriting
Yeah.
and like understanding how to produce a track properly. That like when
Mhm.
you like studio time is valuable. So when
Mhm.
you want to go into studio, it's not like we we're not like Coldplay. Like we can't afford 5 months to write in the studio. So we're writing outside studio, import everything in,
Yeah.
and just try and nail it.
Yeah.
So that gave us a lot of time to get what I say is on the right track of being good. So we're still obviously learning every release we do, but yeah, I suppose it was valuable for us to have that time.
Who discovered you guys? Now, I know that sounds a little funny,
Mm.
but you guys are way past most bands in the quality of production and music than most people when they're just starting out. So
Yeah, yeah,
you've
that's
had to
that's
have
true.
somebody along the way.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you
yeah,
guys don't know what you're doing, but
mm,
somebody had to help you along the way. Have you had a
yeah.
producer or somebody come in
Like
that's in?
I
our
think,
manager was a pivotal point in elevating us in terms of
yeah,
let's be fair, like financial help, because
Yeah.
obviously that's a huge factor.
Yep.
Um, studios are expensive, PR is expensive, everything's expensive.
Yep.
Um, to be fair, like initially, like our demo quality and our demos are pretty great. Like in my opinion, I think I'm quite good at producing a track again
Hmm.
now, to the point where we show it to producers and they're like, Jesus, that's who did that? And we're like, oh, we did it.
Mm.
But we did go to, like, we had loads of tracks, and we went to a producer. Well, no, we actually DM'd them, Ronan, wasn't it, in our house? And we're like,
yeah.
might like we'll just see what's he up to. Like, his name's Rory Cushioning, and he was only really getting into the producing game because he was a mixer, and he
Hmm.
was looking to push himself. So like Rory's won a Grammy. Rory has mixed for Mumford and Sons, George Michael, Ed Sheeran, the
Is that all?
Maccabees.
Come on. Can you do better than that? Come
I
on.
know
I
That's
know.
he needs to push himself. He's getting older now as well. Like, but yeah. So Rory has like, we're just like, at the end of the day, like, I don't really care that he hasn't had like, he's not like a producer, because to be fair, producer is just a tag. You're looking for someone who has musical experience.
Yep.
Producers sometimes don't even touch a console. They just sit there and go, it's a tastemaker, like. And
Yeah.
we
I like
trusted
that.
his,
Tastemaker. That's a great word for it. Tastemaker.
we
Yeah.
trusted his taste really, and then yeah, I think that's it. And he helped us elevate into that level of going, let's be, and like the mixes are a huge thing to us, like, because I really think like you need to have someone who knows how to mix. Like mixing for me is like, it can make or break a song, whether it's
Yep.
listenable or not. Especially as we're getting better as being producers and mixing and stuff. Like, sorry, just producing really. I wouldn't push myself into a mixing category at all. You start to listen. When I'm listening to the music, I'm listening to the fidelity. I'm listening to what they've done that's sort of cool or like interesting. And like a lot of the time that can elevate a song that extra 5% that it needs. Like Red Hot Chili Peppers ruined an album by having a crap master and mix on it. What one was it?
It was I think it was the Californication album where
Yeah,
the man mastered it, and he was dubbed the Decapitator because he literally put what was it, a gate on everything.
and he just killed it. Like, but that's so easy to do. So like to get to that next level, you have to work with people who have had that experience doing it. Unless, well, I say that on one hand, but then there's also some absolute amazing new people coming up, like who are just have that gift and they can do it.
Like Adam for college did music technology, and he was kind of in the studio. He was, you know, getting nitty gritty with that kind of thing and finding it interesting. And like, obviously, the more you find something interesting, like whether it be music, whether it be art, whether it be anything, you know, you're going to see it differently. You're going to hear it differently. You're going to do it differently. And I think, you know, it's also kind of a good thing for us as well, because I don't think all three of us are the same. That, like, you know, I wouldn't really be interested. Like Adam is good at that. So I would never kind of come in and think, right, I'm going to try do that. Because as you said, sometimes the way you listen to music, you're either interested in it or you don't want to know. You just want to enjoy it, and you don't want to get into kind of the mathematics of it or anything like that. And sometimes, you know, I think that's why I like our band kind of dynamic as well, is that like there's a lot of times where if all three of us thought like that, like whether it would be Adam thought the way I did or I thought with him, and we were all on the same par, we would be arguing over, you know, whose opinion is right and who's doing this. Whereas when you have different elements coming in from the three of us, you can link them all together, and it then becomes something that even then it's, you know, not everybody can do.
Well, you're not thinking alike. I mean, you know, when I recorded an album in '94, and I called my producer and said, I'm just going to hire studio musicians. If I don't like them, I'll just get rid of them. So I remember he came in and he brought in a keyboard player, and he said, he's a little weird. So with this, well, that's the first thing out of his mouth he said. And he was sitting in the studio. We were in a control booth. He said, but just let him go and see if you like it. And he starts playing. I'm going like, I don't like it. And I didn't say anything. But as he finished the song, I went, oh, I would have never thought about that. Well, of course not, because you already know what you got in your head.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying is that's exactly why you're three different people that have three different ideas about doing
Mm.
stuff. So you're focusing on already I can't believe how smart you guys already are. I'm just blow you up a little bit, but you are really smart. I'm just
Thanks.
telling you. I've been down the road, guys. I'm just telling you, you're already past some of that stuff. So, the thing about it is you already figured out this is what we want to do. You quit your jobs, which people, I'm sure everybody, your relatives went, are you taking drugs now or what?
Yeah.
What do you mean you're quitting your
We can
job?
barely afford anything.
Yeah, can't
My
afford
favorite
drugs.
thing is when all these people I interview are starting out, they go, I just don't have any money. I said, of course not. You're a musician.
Yeah,
That's what I
exactly.
said.
I'm happy with it at the moment. Like,
Oh, sure.
money means like if honestly, like if you're, it's great. Like, and it's an adult thing, and it's eventually a lot of people are like money has a tight hold over them and everything. We're lucky, like we really are lucky to have families that support what we're doing. And honestly, I think we're living the absolute life, to be honest. Like, because we get to go play gigs, we have security in our home life, we have great backing, we're having fun and
You're
stuff like
missing
that.
one important thing. You know what that one thing you're missing is you have talent.
Okay, yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with bragging on the fact, but you're given the talent. You're born with that deal. So people always, when they come up to me and go, well, you're a great guitar player. And I go, yeah, I've worked at it, obviously, to get better at my craft. But it's like, okay, I was given this. So it's like, the ability to.
I've actually never really saw myself like that, to be honest, though. Like, I've always been the person who, like, as you were saying there earlier, like you've been like, I can put my hand at most things. I feel like I'd be sort of, I can put my hand at things, but I would never have said like, I just only think I'm good at something because I work at it. I don't think anything was sort of like, I like, I wouldn't be like, I think I'm like a mile wide and an inch deep in a lot of things. So like, I would never really, I don't know, Ron, you know what I'm trying to say though? Like, I can
I
play.
think
Yeah.
the word is
I
you're
mean,
humble. You're humble. That's exactly what I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because as you continue to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger, let me tell you what you guys have going for you. All right. I'm just going to tell you, I love your music and it's different. Okay. You probably already know this, but most people that listen to streaming listen to older stuff, 90s and early, because they
Yeah.
don't like the new stuff. You
Well,
know, and it's
Yeah.
they write with crews of people. They come in with 10, 15 writers if they're doing it for Ariana Grande or people like that, and it's all kind of. I mean, look at how long ago did Coldplay? They've been together for years. So
Mm.
that's number one. Your music is not. It's different, but it feels the same to a certain degree. That's the one thing you got going for you.
Yeah.
And the other thing you got going for the States is you're Irish. I mean,
Yeah.
Americans are hooked on Irish, British
100%.
accents. Oh my gosh. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
could you just talk to me with that accent?
yeah.
What do you mean? Okay, that's enough. Thank you very much.
Yeah. We're
But your
lucky in that
stories are
regard,
different. Your stories are different, but they're the same. So I see, and that's what really impressed me from the very beginning because I had no idea what kind of music you guys were going to do. So when you go, all right, I'm going to ask you this later. So just think about it. Where you're going to go. I mean, what are your plans other than we want to do world domination or something like that? But
Yeah. Yeah.
but when do you get together when you write? All right, are you working on an album now? What are you working on now? Are you just
Um.
because you had something come out in June? Did you have a single come out or something in June?
We had one out in June, and then we had one out. When was that? Like 29 days ago, the 2nd of September.
Okay.
So
And how long
yeah.
ago was that recorded?
That was actually a
year?
really quick turnaround. We did that in like July.
Okay, so that's recent, recent
Yeah,
stuff.
it's real recent. Yeah, it's
So,
called
so
Stay
let's
Here.
just talk about your short term. What's your short term goals then?
I think before Christmas we have like I think like I speak for the band here, I think, but we sort of have to wear two hats in terms of like our live performance goals and then our recording goals.
Yeah.
For recording and release purposes. I think we want to do an EP. We have 2 tracks, so hopefully we can get another 2 to 3 together. And then put it on an EP. I just feel like it has like a nicer like homogeneous feel when you look at our
It's like
discography
putting
then.
it into a filing
A
cabinet.
folder, 100%. I love folders and shit. Like, love all that stuff. Folders, files, and like having things look nice and tidy. So like having nice two EPs will look sick together. No, but look, it's nice to have a period, like it wraps up a little period of our life before we go into the new year. I know it's only a calendar change, but then we can go into 2023 with new ambitions. So
Sure.
like I do like the idea of releasing singles. I think it's commercially what you have to do,
Right.
but I think it is endless to the point of what is the purpose of it? I mean, you're sort of just putting it out to put it out. You're sort of chasing your tail in terms of like you release something, you go, okay, we have to release something else. You have to release something else. But like if you did something that has the body of work that has some continuity and you can stand by it for a few months thereafter and worry about other things rather than being this constant chain of people expecting music from you on a constant basis.
Yeah.
So when you guys perform, because a lot of this stuff is in the studio, do you guys have tracks you play with, or do you play? You have to, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to do tracks. Yeah,
We have a you know, a backing track system set up, and you know, like we try to, I suppose, like most bands, I think we try to kind of tweak little things, maybe play a little bit heavier and stuff like that live, that we don't want it to, you know, obviously if we're playing with backing tracks, they're exactly what are in the songs themselves
studio.
that are
Yeah,
recorded. But I think at the same time, I think the three of us always have this same view of live where it's basically, you know, if you want to go and play the exact same as you did in the studio, you know, people like, why do people care? Like they can just sit at home and listen to Spotify.
Right.
You have to
yeah,
create that little bit of difference and that reason for somebody to come down
I agree.
and see your shows and everything like that. So yeah, we have that element of it, but then we also kind of, as Adam said, when it's live, you put on your live hat and you're kind of just thinking, right, we're not in the studio anymore, we're not on Spotify anymore. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna
yeah,
make this? But
and like yeah.
in terms of like the backing tracks, that's what kind of makes this three piece turn into a 10 piece. You
Do you
know?
know, like people always say to us, like, "Oh my God, you sound so big for a three piece," and we're like, "Yeah, we're doing it right then."
That's what I was going
Because
to ask you. What's the response when people walk in and you're playing a gig that nobody's ever heard of you? They know, and you start playing all this music, they figure out that's not 10 guys on the they're not, I mean,
I know,
how does it affect?
yeah,
Are people so used to it now with backing tracks they just kind
yeah,
of go with it?
100%. Like I honestly never have heard a critique over it. I don't know if people would even say it to us, but I hear more than often, you sound so big for a three piece. Like that's the number one thing. You sound like very developed for a three piece. And but the thing is, like we like big bands. Like I like Bruce Springsteen. I love all these bands. And eventually, when we have that budget and that touring party, we can have more people playing. And the thing is, it's just actually the logistical end of making what we do in the studio happen live. It's just you would need an insane budget. You'd need like a million sound men. It wouldn't be feasible. But at the moment, I think we're making it work.
I think at the same time, you know, I've always been on the side of things where, you know, there's plenty of bands that are three pieces, four pieces, and sound absolutely massive. And
Yeah, Muse.
there's only
Like,
three people on stage. There's only four people on
yeah,
stage. I think at the end of the day, you know, there was kind of an old view of like backing tracks and stuff like that, that it
Yeah.
was almost like cheating or something like that. But
Yeah.
the funny thing is, and the one thing that we have to keep reminding ourselves is, we made this. Like we literally,
Yeah.
every single track that is like within that file
yeah,
has been recorded by us. So
yeah,
it's like, you know, there's no element of cheating. There's no kind of smoke and mirrors with it. It literally is us. It just,
yeah,
you know, we've only got two sets of hands. I've only got
Right.
two sets, or I've only got a set of legs. I
Yeah.
can completely kind of get the, like, from one element. Like I know it kind of sounds like I'm kind of going back on myself, but it's like there is certain songs where, you know, you hear them, and like even say with the Who, you've got like Won't Get Fooled Again, and you know, yes, there's elements such as like a guitar solo or something that's done slightly different, and you're kind of like, oh, I really like the way he did that live in Dallas this year, and blah blah blah. Or you've got that element of like, this is my favorite song. And all I
Yeah,
want to do is experience this live, see it in my face.
and they don't
I
do
think,
it.
yeah, that like, you know, I think it's funny that we talk about there is a fine line of, you know, playing around with it and then doing a Bob Dylan where you you turn these great songs into something completely different every
Like-
night. I suppose there is like, that's what I kind of like with live, that you don't know where it's going to go. And I think, you know, it even makes a band a little bit more creative if they want to kind of take that next creative step, because it's easy enough to step on stage and just play normally and get off
Yeah.
again.
I really do think like what we have going with the tracks is at least that we are playing consistently from show to show, in terms that you're not going to get a bad musical performance because things are set to a certain structure, and that helps us relax and understand what's going on. In terms of like the playing, like Ronan will play differently generally, more than me and Ryan will, in terms of his live performance than it will in a track, because sometimes it just doesn't physically work properly on a track, and then playing live it makes the same difference. And even with like playing bass or guitar or whatever, you can go at it a little bit heavier, you can go like a bit more guitar bandy, you can a bit more push it, like push the PA a bit louder, like it doesn't have to be reserved. But the consistency is there in terms of like the song will sound like you imagined it, but probably a little bit heavier, a little bit more your experiences live.
Yeah.
Once again, when it comes to Ryan and Adam, like you would have, say, like Adam would play kind of keys on some tracks in some gigs and stuff like that, and you'd be kind of like, oh, I didn't know he played keys. And then you know, like Ryan playing guitar the entire time, and you know, I don't think he has any at the moment, but like he can shred like a motherfucker. So like he could go into something and it's like, shit, I thought he could only do like 4 chords. It's like, you know, you can end up doing stuff like that, and you know, that's the beauty of live. And
goodbye.